Hi, Creekside. I hope you're having a good week. You know, we continue to kind of go through some crazy times. You kind of had hoped that turning the calendar into 2021, everything would just kind of start getting massively better, and it just gets maybe little bits better, and certainly a lot of other concerns on our minds these days. But we are so excited to be moving forward in 2021. And one of the things we were unable to do at the end of last year was have our church annual business conference. And that's a church business conference where we do two very important things. One is we talk about our church budget and approve a church operating budget for the following year. And the second is elect our officers. And just like everything else, this has been a process. It's been a very different type of process for us. So one of the things I want you to be aware of, I'm sending you a copy of our proposed budget for 2021. Now, we really have three budgets that we've worked on for this coming year, and we're presenting that middle of the road budget. And that middle of the road budget's a budget that where we really try to keep everything in a very tight bubble. So it doesn't include some things that we would like to be able to do. And so we do have a budget that, with the faithfulness of God's people, and depending on where the economy goes, that will allow us to know where we are allocating extra funds as they come in. We also have a version that if the economy really takes a bad turn, that we kind of know where we would have to go in light of that. And so we've kind of taken that middle of the road. It's almost a 15% decrease from what we asked for going into this previous year. And so we've had a lot of financial challenges, of course, over the year, but you've been faithful, and our church has been able to do so many things. In fact, because our spending was down, we were able to do some things that we knew we needed to do. We upgraded a lot of technology elements to try to improve what we're doing online. We continue to try to get better with that, but we do have most of the technology that we need to do that at this point in time. We also put some money into replacing our entry doors to the front of the church, and that should be completed. That should be completed in February. They're in production at this time. And so we were able to do some of those things because of the faithfulness of God's people, and because some of those things we didn't spend as much money as we want to. Now, of course, for us, when we think about our budget, the most important thing I think about is how do we give back out of our budget. And we always give out. We give in ministry through our budget. And so when you give to our budget, you're giving to missions, you're giving to generosity, to help people in times of need. We're giving to spread the gospel. We're doing these things through our budget, as well as taking care of the expenses of the local body. And so we work really hard to try to make sure that we take that very seriously. I know you may have some questions. If you do, it would be helpful. You can email those to me, and we'll make sure if those get covered in the business meeting. You can do any number of things to let us know what questions you might have about our budget. But again, we don't know where a lot of things are going. We do know this. We are really working this year to try to keep things on a small scale, and to really think about smaller is better. And so that's a lot of what we're looking at and working with. And so big events we're not so much thinking about. It's always thinking more about how do we get better in smaller increments. And so that's kind of our focus for this year with our budget. And so please pray for our leadership team. This is really hard to work through the challenges and the unknowns that we are facing. We're certainly doing the best that we can given the information that we do have. The second part is we also elect officers for our church board. Now, our church board deals with the administrative side of the church, and so those people are elected from our church body. And we have two groups in that are elected from our church body. One is our church officers, and the others are church trustees. Church trustees serve a 4-year term, and then they rotate off. The church officers are able to serve consecutive terms. And so we have some changes coming up in that. And so before I come to that, I want to just say thank you to some people. And the first one is not a member of our board, but very, very important to all that we did this past year. And I want to say a special thank you to Angie Turnus. She covers the physical nature of our books, and so she's in our office quite a bit, volunteering her time, making sure that we are doing things right, and making sure that we are following all the laws that we need to follow. And this past year was a huge challenge in that she put in tons of extra time, and I want to say thank you to Angie. And when you see Angie, make sure you thank her, drop her an email, drop her a note to tell her how much you appreciate all the extra time and work she's done, because it has not been a fun task for her. The second person I want to thank is Robert Palmer. He'll be rotating off our trust as a trustee this year, and I want to say thank you to him for his time and service as a trustee. Our trustees do some specific things. They are highly involved in helping care for the church facilities. They also can sign some legal documentation for us and all those kinds of things. And we're very grateful for the time given. There are a lot of things that he's done behind the scenes you'll never know about. You might see him as a teacher with his family in some of our classes, but just want to say thank you. Your service is so appreciated in your time serving on the board. And thank you for the other ways in which you serve as well. I also want to say a special thank you to Terry Wilson. When we created this structure, he was our first vice chairman of the board. And so he is the only one who's actually ever been in that role since we've had it in our church. And he's decided that it's time to share that joy with someone else. And so he's going to be kind of stepping back from that and continuing to serve in other ways in which he enjoys serving. And so I want to say thank you to Terry for all the support. He was part of one of my all-time favorite meetings in ministry when he said, "Pastor, just tell us what you see." And that, in my mind, is still a very special day and a very special meeting, and I'm appreciative of that type of attitude. And so thank you, Terry, for the years of service that you've given in that particular role. So that brings us to what we'll be voting on this Sunday. We certainly, given the nature of what's going on, if you have any nominations, we would certainly receive those in the coming days. But we have received several nominations to replace our board, and most of those nominations felt that given the nature of this year and the commitments that they already have and the uncertainty, that this was not the right time for them to accept those nominations. And so here's kind of where we're at with that. Rob Geislinger, who is one of our trustees, will be entering the last year of his service term, was nominated to replace Terry as the vice chairman of the board. And so he has accepted that nomination. And so that vacates his role as a trustee, should he be selected as our new vice chairman. And given that there's just 1 year remaining on his term, and given the conditions of this year, we've decided that our recommendation, at least as the board, that we'll just leave his chair unfilled until the fall, until this year runs out, and then replace him for a full term in those coming years. It would be really hard for someone to come in and get up to speed, and by the time they got up to speed, it'd be time to rotate off. And so we've decided that with church approval that we would just move that way regarding his term as a trustee. And then Robert Palmer has rotated off as a trustee. Sid White has been nominated and accepted that nomination to become a part of our trustee group. And so we would be asking your vote on him this Sunday. And so that's kind of where we're at going into this week. I want you just to kind of know all of those things. And so we'll be moving forward with that. And again, if you have questions or anything, you are welcome to reach out to us. My email is alan.small@creekside.cc. And I'll also give you some of the other emails of some of our board members in our email, so you can reach out to them. But this has been certainly a challenging year, and I appreciate all of them and all the work that our board has done. It's been truly unique with Zoom meetings and a lot of questions and a lot of quick changes that we've had to make from time to time. And so I'm certainly very appreciative for them, and I'm very appreciative for you. Thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for being a church that wants to move forward, because I know that God wants to make a difference. And so this Sunday, I'm excited to talk to you about the church. It'll probably be a little bit of a different message. I believe that a good sermon begins with a good text and is grounded in God's Word. But I also believe there's times where a pastor really needs to speak more from the heart. And so this Sunday, it'll be a little bit more about me coming from my heart, about where we're at and where we're headed as a church. So hopefully some very practical things involved in that. And so I'm excited about that. And so I want to thank you so much for being a part of this video, taking the time to watch that. And we look forward to having you in our service Sunday, whether that's in person or virtual. And again, our business conference will be both in person and virtual. We plan to start right around 11:30 with that, so we'll have Zoom ready to go, and you'll have that link here for you as well. Well, thank you, church. Love you, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.